Have you ever noticed how two people can be in the same room, but one commands quiet respect while the other just drains the air with noise? You can tell everything about someone not when things go right, but when the world slightly inconveniences them. Public spaces don't just reveal manners, they expose mastery, because every reaction you show is a window into your character. You're sitting in a restaurant. Two people, two tables, two completely different energies. At one table, someone is loud, complaining about their day, snapping at the waiter, irritated by the smallest delays. Every sigh, every complaint feels like a performance. At another table sits someone quiet, calm, patient, collected. They face the same frustrations, yet handle them with grace. No drama, no show, just quiet control. One demands attention. The other earns respect. Here's the truth. Public spaces aren't stages for you to act on. They're silent tests of your inner discipline. Every time you're around others, you reveal something about your character, whether you mean to or not. And once people see that version of you, you can't take it back. You've felt this before. Someone lost their temper in public, and you never saw them the same way again. Someone complained endlessly, and you quietly began to avoid them. Or maybe once you overshared and watched how people's perception of you shifted in an instant. Because public behavior reveals one simple truth. Who really controls you? Your emotions or yourself? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. What you do in public shows whether you've mastered that truth or still struggle against it. So today, we'll uncover 9 things you should never do in public. Habits that silently tell others you lack control, confidence, or inner strength. Number 6 is something almost everyone does without realizing, and it instantly teaches others how to manipulate you. By the end, you'll understand which behaviors quietly destroy your respect, and how to carry yourself with calm, unshakable composure instead. If people don't take you seriously, this video will show you why. Subscribe, and let's keep building the kind of character that doesn't need to speak loudly to be felt deeply. Let's begin. Thing number 1. Never complain about your problems in public. When you complain in public, people don't feel sympathy, they feel drained. Everyone has problems. The difference between the respected and the pitied is simple. One handles them privately, the other broadcasts them loudly. I once saw this destroy someone's reputation. It was at a small dinner, a mix of old friends and new faces. One woman, let's call her Linda, turned every conversation into a monologue of misery. When someone asked about work, she went on for 10 minutes about her awful boss, unfair workload, and toxic colleagues. When weekend plans came up, she complained about no time, too many obligations, exhausting family drama. At first, people tried to be kind. They nodded, offered advice, smiled politely. But as the evening went on, the shift was clear. People started avoiding her. Conversations grew shorter, eye contact faded, and when she stepped away, someone quietly asked the question everyone was thinking. Does she ever talk about anything positive? The contrast was striking, because another guest, who was battling serious health issues and financial struggles, never mentioned a word. They stayed kind, curious, and fully engaged with others. Weeks later, when I learned what they were going through, my respect for them grew tenfold. They were struggling, yet never burdened anyone with it. That's quiet strength. Sometimes, strength isn't about silence alone. It's about how you choose to carry your struggles without turning them into someone else's weight. The person we mentioned earlier, the one who stayed, calm and never complained, didn't have an easier life. They just made a conscious choice, not to make their pain everyone else's burden. So what does public complaining actually reveal about someone? It shows that you crave validation to deal with your problems. that you can't handle discomfort without needing others to see how hard your life is. And people notice. They start seeing you not as someone who's simply facing challenges, but as someone who is their challenges, consumed by them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When you complain publicly, you're sending the opposite message, that outside events have power over you. If you're going through something difficult and truly need support, confide in one or two trusted people privately, but in public, practice mastery. Talk about solutions, not struggles. Transform statements like, "I'm so overwhelmed with work," into, "I'm restructuring how I manage my workload." One shows you're drowning. The other shows you're adapting. Complaining broadcasts weakness, but the next behavior is even worse. It doesn't just expose your emotions, it hands them to others. Thing number 2. Never react emotionally to provocation. The moment you react emotionally in public, you lose. And everyone watching knows it. Someone insults you, challenges you, or drops a subtle jab meant to get under your skin. Your instincts flare up. Say something back. Defend yourself. But the second you let that emotion spill out, you've given them exactly what they wanted. Proof that they control you. I saw this unfold in a professional meeting 2 years ago. The discussion was tense. One participant made a sharp comment. Not quite an insult, but clearly designed to provoke. The person targeted had 2 choices: stay calm or react. He reacted. His face flushed. His voice rose. He launched into a long defensive explanation that soon turned into an argument. For 5 minutes, he fought to prove his point. Why the comment was unfair, why he was right, why the other person didn't understand. But something subtle happened. The room grew quiet. No one was listening to his words anymore. They were watching his loss of control. The instigator leaned back, calm, almost smirking, because he'd won. He'd found the button that could unbalance his opponent. Worse still, the original comment wasn't even that serious. But the reaction made it memorable. Months later, people didn't recall what was said. They remembered how he exploded. That single outburst became the image of who he was under pressure. The contrast couldn't have been sharper. Later in the same meeting, another person was challenged, this time even more harshly. Their response? A pause. Then calmly, "That's an interesting perspective." "Why do you think that?" No defensiveness, no emotion, just control. And instantly, the room's respect shifted toward them. Because here's the truth about emotional reactions. They reveal your weaknesses like exposed wires. They tell people exactly how to push your buttons. They show you'd rather be right than be respected. They show you let others decide how you feel. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." And in public, your reaction is the only thing people will remember. So next time someone tries to provoke you, don't take the bait. Pause. Breathe. Ask a calm question instead of firing an emotional answer. Master the art of the neutral expression, because the moment people know what rattles you, they own that part of you. If you've ever stayed calm when someone tried to provoke you and watched them lose their power in that very moment, you already understand the essence of emotional mastery. Go ahead and write in the comments, "I control my reactions," because that simple truth defines strength. Your composure is your greatest weapon. Every emotional reaction hands your power to someone else. But there's another behavior, one that's just as common, yet far more dangerous. It quietly reveals insecurity, even when disguised as confidence. Thing number 3, never brag about your achievements. True accomplishment doesn't need an announcement. Only insecurity does. There's a huge difference between sharing information and seeking validation. When you constantly talk about what you've achieved, who you know, where you've worked, or how successful you are, you're not showing confidence. You're showing a deep need for others to remind you that you matter. I saw this clearly at a networking event last year. Two people in the room had remarkable backgrounds, both genuinely successful. But their ways of showing it couldn't have been more different. The first person spent the entire evening making sure everyone knew about their success. No matter what topic came up, they somehow brought the conversation back to themselves, their career, their big deals, their connections, their awards. They weren't really talking. They were performing success. The second person, however, hardly mentioned themselves at all. When asked directly what they did, they gave a short, simple answer, then immediately turned the focus back to the other person. They asked questions, listened carefully, and seemed genuinely interested. Not in being interesting, but in understanding others. And then something fascinating happened. Later that night, someone got curious about the quiet one. They looked them up online and discovered that their resume was twice as impressive as the person who'd been bragging all night. That's the difference. One needed you to know, the other let you discover. By the end of the evening, people were quietly avoiding the bragger, not out of dislike, but because every interaction felt like listening to a self-promotional monologue. Meanwhile, the quiet one had people approaching them, eager to connect, to collaborate, to keep in touch. So what does public bragging really reveal? That your self-worth depends on external recognition. That you're not truly confident in your success. You're anxious that others might not see it. So you make sure they can't miss it. But in doing so, you become forgettable. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." And that applies perfectly here. When you crave recognition for your achievements, you're displaying a poverty of confidence, not a wealth of success. If someone asks about your work, be brief, be factual, then shift the attention back. Let your results speak through discovery, not declaration. The most powerful reputation is the one you don't have to build yourself. It's the one others build for you when you're not in the room. Bragging exposes insecurity. But the next behavior, and the one we'll talk about soon, goes even darker. Because it doesn't just reveal weakness. It destroys something you can never rebuild once it's lost. Thing number 4. Never gossip or speak poorly of others. When you talk about people behind their back, you're not just exposing them, you're exposing yourself. You're showing everyone exactly what you'll say about them when they're not around. Gossip feels harmless in the moment. Someone's not in the room, a story comes up, a harmless criticism slips out. Everyone listens and laughs. But what you don't realize is that at that very moment, trust begins to erode. We just talked about gossip, how it can quietly corrode trust like rust on metal. It might feel like connection, like you're bonding, part of the same team. But in truth, every time you gossip, you're sending a silent message to everyone around you. You can't trust me. Because if you talk about others when they're not there, everyone assumes you'll do the same to them. I once watched this unfold slowly over the course of 6 months, as it completely destroyed someone's social circle. There was a woman. Let's call her Sarah. She wasn't cruel or intentionally harmful. She just had a habit. Always being the first to share updates about other people's lives. Who was fighting with their partner, who got in trouble at work, who was having family issues. She'd frame it as concern. I just thought you should know. Or, I'm only telling you because I care. At first, people listened. They engaged, nodded, even added their own little stories. But slowly something changed. People began sharing less around her. Conversations became guarded. Plans started happening without her. She noticed, of course. She could feel the distance growing. but she couldn't understand why. Until one day, someone finally told her the truth. They said, "Sarah, when you talk about everyone else while they're not here, we assume you talk about us the same way. That's why we can't trust you." That moment hit her hard. She thought she was being social, keeping everyone connected, staying in the loop. But what she was actually doing was systematically eroding trust with every person in that group. One by one, they decided she wasn't safe. The contrast became obvious with another person in the same circle. Whenever gossip began, that person would either gently redirect, "Have you talked to them about it?" or simply stay quiet. They didn't judge or lecture anyone. They just didn't participate, and over time, people began trusting them more deeply. They became the one people confided in, the one others turned to with real things, the kind of trust Sarah had lost. Because here's what gossip truly reveals. You can't be trusted with sensitive information. You value social currency over loyalty, and you need to bring others down a little just to feel like you belong. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Don't speak about others the way small-minded people speak about you. And when someone tries to pull you into gossip, stop it calmly. A simple, "I'd rather not talk about them when they're not here," ends it without judgment. And if you truly have a problem with someone, talk to them directly, or say nothing at all. If you're starting to see how certain behaviors quietly cost you respect, stay with me, because the next 5 reveal even more about what separates strength from weakness. Thing number 5, never seek validation or approval openly. The moment you ask, "Was that okay?" in public, you're announcing one thing loud and clear. You don't trust your own judgment. Seeking approval is a natural human instinct, but doing it publicly tells people something else entirely. It tells them your confidence depends on their reaction. I saw this play out during a company presentation last year. 2 presenters, same topic, same quality, similar skill. But their behavior after the presentation revealed everything. The first presenter finished speaking and immediately started scanning faces. Was that clear? Did that make sense? I wasn't sure about the ending. Was it too much? They kept fishing for reassurance, checking expressions, waiting for validation. And yes, people gave polite nods. Yeah, that was good. But it was lukewarm, surface level. Because constant seeking drains authority, it tells people you need their permission to feel good about your own work. The second presenter finished, simply smiled, said, "Thank you," and sat down. No need for approval, no checking reactions. Their confidence was quiet, and that's what made it powerful. The difference between those 2 presenters lingered long after the meeting ended. The second one, and calm, self-assured, didn't need to fish for approval. No scanning the room, no nervous checking, no desperate, "Did I do okay?" They simply delivered their message and moved forward, confident that their work spoke for itself. And something interesting happened afterward. When people offered feedback, it was genuine, thoughtful, specific, and full of enthusiasm. Why? Because the presenter hadn't begged for it. They hadn't made anyone feel obligated to offer polite reassurance. Over the following weeks, people kept referencing that second presentation. They quoted it. They built on it. It became a reference point. Meanwhile, the first presentation, the one filled with self-doubt, faded from memory. Not because the content was weaker, but because the presenter had unknowingly trained everyone to doubt it by doubting it themselves. The pattern is clear. When you seek validation, you teach others to withhold it. When you stand behind your work with quiet confidence, people respect both the work and you. Here's what seeking approval really reveals. It shows that your self-assessment is unreliable. You need external voices to tell you if what you've done has value. And if you don't trust your own judgment, Why should anyone else? Epictetus once taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, be willing to let your work stand on its own, even if no one claps. Your worth is not determined by how many people tell you you're good enough. After you act, create, or decide, resist the urge to ask, how did I do? Stand behind it. If people have feedback, they'll give it. If they don't, that silence is also feedback. But don't fish for validation, because when you do, you turn quiet strength into visible weakness. Seeking approval exposes insecurity. But the next behavior, it's even worse, because it doesn't just expose weakness. It gives others a map of exactly how to control you. Thing number 6. Never reveal your weaknesses or vulnerabilities publicly. There's a difference between private vulnerability and public oversharing. One builds trust, the other builds targets. Vulnerability, when shared in the right place, with people you trust, in relationships built on mutual respect, is powerful. It creates connection. But broadcasting your insecurities, fears, and personal struggles in public isn't brave. It's strategic carelessness, because not everyone who listens wishes you well. And once people know your emotional pressure points, some will use them. I watched this play out at a social gathering a few years ago. Someone I'd met only twice walked into the room and, within minutes, began sharing deeply personal details. Financial stress, relationship struggles, anxiety about their career and health, all of it, out loud in a room full of near strangers. In the moment, everyone seemed kind. They nodded sympathetically, offered comforting words. But I noticed something subtle. After that night, when this person's name came up, the tone had changed. People didn't speak with admiration. They spoke with pity, and sometimes with calculation. 6 months later, a professional opportunity came up, something this person was perfect for. But someone from that same gathering said quietly, I don't think they can handle the pressure right now. You know how they are. They used the very vulnerabilities that had been shared that night as evidence of weakness. The person who had overshared never knew why they weren't chosen. They had offered their pain, hoping for connection. Instead, they planted seeds of doubt about their competence. The contrast was stark with others in the same circle. People who faced real struggles too, but handled them quietly. When others eventually discovered what they'd been through, respect grew, because they had managed hardship without making it everyone's business. Here's what public vulnerability truly reveals. You don't have control over what parts of yourself you expose. You mistake openness for connection, and in doing so, you give people the exact tools they need to undermine you later. We talked about vulnerability and how sharing too much can hand people the very tools they'll later use against you. Here's the truth most people miss. Information is power, and when you overshare, you're giving that power away for free. Not everyone around you is your friend. Some are neutral, some are competitors. And when you reveal your insecurities, your doubts, or your weaknesses in public, you're telling them exactly where to apply pressure, if they ever need to. Seneca understood this well. He said, guard what matters. Because privacy isn't secrecy, it's protection. Vulnerability has its place. In therapy, in close relationships, in spaces built on mutual trust. But in public, professional, or mixed environments, strategic privacy protects you. Share your deepest struggles only with people who have earned the right to hear them. In public, maintain boundaries. It's not about being fake, it's about being wise. Because wisdom knows when to open up and when to remain silent. If you've ever overshared and regretted it later, you already know the cost. So subscribe. Because the final three behaviors will show you what truly separates respected people from everyone else. Thing number 7, never lose control of your temper. People might forget what made you angry, but they'll never forget how you acted when you were. Losing your temper in public isn't just a bad moment. It's a permanent mark on your reputation. Because no matter how justified your anger was, or how wrong the other person might have been, what people remember isn't the reason. It's the loss of control. Once others see you can't manage yourself under pressure, they'll never fully trust your composure again. I watched this unfold in a company meeting once. There was tension over a project decision, weeks of silent frustration building up. Then one moment, it all snapped. Someone made a comment, not even an insult, just something that hit the wrong nerve at the wrong time. And suddenly it happened. A voice raised to shouting, face flushed, finger pointing, accusations flying. Maybe the anger was justified. Maybe they had every reason to be upset. But in that instant, none of it mattered anymore, because everyone stopped listening to what they were saying and started watching how they were saying it. The meeting ended in silence, awkward and heavy. The issue itself, the one that caused the blow-up, was resolved 2 days later through a short, calm email. 15 minutes of clarity fixed what 90 seconds of rage had destroyed. But a year later, people were still saying, "Remember when they lost it in that meeting?" Not why it happened, not how it was fixed, just the explosion. And that single moment changed everything. Before it happened, that person was being considered for leadership roles. Afterward, they were quietly removed from every one of those conversations. The reason was never said out loud, but everyone understood. We need someone who stays calm under pressure. Client-facing positions require composure. In other words, we can't trust them anymore. Here's what losing your temper reveals. When pressure increases, your control decreases. You let emotions override judgment. And if you can't manage yourself, people assume you can't manage anything that matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it." The truth is, the damage from your reaction will always outlast whatever provoked it. So when you feel anger rising in public, step back. Say you need a moment. Walk away if you must. Address the issue later when your mind is calm and clear. Because one single outburst can undo years of earned respect. And no excuse, no explanation can ever fully restore it. Losing your temper destroys respect permanently. But the next behavior goes even deeper, because it exposes your true character in ways most people never realize they're being judged. We talked about losing control, how a single outburst can destroy a reputation built over years. But there's another behavior that reveals your true nature, especially in the smallest, unnoticed moments, how you treat service workers. Thing number 8, never be rude to service workers. How you treat people who can do nothing for you reveals everything about who you really are. People might not comment, but they always notice how you talk to servers, cashiers, cleaners, delivery drivers. Those society says don't matter to your success. And it's in those quiet, ordinary moments when you think no one important is watching that your true character is exposed. Because kindness toward people in power is strategy. Kindness toward people without power, that's character. I once attended a business dinner with someone I was considering partnering with. Professional setting, elegant restaurant, great conversation. Then the waiter came to take our order, and everything changed. No eye contact. Curt responses, snapping fingers for attention, interrupting mid-sentence to bark modifications to the order. Not a single thank you. And when the waiter brought water without ice, the response was dripping with condescension. I specifically said with ice. Is that difficult? The waiter's face stayed calm, polite, professional. But I saw something the other person didn't. The other tables noticed. the hostess noticed. The staff adjusted, approaching our table only when necessary, doing the bare minimum. The man sitting across from me didn't see any of it. He kept talking about values, company culture, and treating people with respect. The irony couldn't have been sharper. I made my decision right there. No partnership. Because if someone can treat a waiter like that, they'll eventually treat you the same. The moment they realize you no longer have something they need. The mask always slips, and this was simply a glimpse of who he truly was when he thought it didn't matter. Because here's what rudeness to service workers reveals. You believe some people deserve respect and others don't, based on what they can do for you. Your politeness is transactional. Your character has a price tag, measured by status. Epictetus taught, every person deserves respect as a fellow human being. Your character isn't measured by how you treat your bosses or your peers. It's measured by how you treat those society tells you are beneath you. Look them in the eye. Say please and thank you. Be patient. Be courteous. Be human. Because people are watching, and they're forming opinions about who you truly are in those moments you think don't count. Rudeness to service workers exposes your real character. But the final behavior, the ninth one, is perhaps the most damaging of all, because it kills your motivation before you even begin. Thing number 9. Never broadcast your plans before you've achieved them. When you announce your plans publicly, your brain rewards you as if you've already succeeded. It's a psychological trap, one that feels good but quietly destroys discipline. Talking about your next big move, the business you're starting, the book you're writing, the transformation you're making feels empowering. People respond with excitement, encouragement, praise, and your brain interprets that validation as achievement. You get the dopamine rush of success without doing the work. And suddenly, the motivation to actually do it disappears. I watched this destroy someone's goals for 2 years straight. Every few months came a new announcement. Starting a podcast, launching a consulting business, writing an online course, training for a marathon. Each time, the posts were detailed, passionate, shared across social media. People flooded the comments with support. And every time the same thing happened, enthusiasm faded, consistency vanished. The podcast? 3 episodes, then silence. The business? Stuck in planning mode. The course? Just an outline. The marathon? 2 weeks of training, then nothing. Meanwhile, I knew someone else with similar goals, but they said nothing. No announcements. No updates. No promises. They just worked. Quietly. A year later, they had a 30-episode podcast, a functioning business, and had completed 2 marathons. When people finally found out, the reaction was genuine surprise and deep respect. The difference wasn't talent or opportunity. It was understanding one truth. Talking about your goals tricks your brain into believing you've already achieved them. Public announcements feed your craving for recognition, but they make the actual work feel optional. Here's what broadcasting your plans reveals. You value the appearance of ambition more than real accomplishment. You crave external validation for your intentions because you don't yet trust your ability to execute them. So instead of completing the plan, you perform it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't talk about what you're going to do, just do it. Let your results speak when they're real, not when they're imaginary. Keep your plans private until they're underway or complete. Work in silence. Build in the dark. Share results, not intentions. Because the respect you get for saying you'll do something is nothing compared to the respect you earn for actually doing it." 9 things you should never do in public. And they all share one common thread. Each one reveals a lack of self-control. Complaining shows you can't cope. Emotional reactions give others power. Bragging exposes insecurity. Gossip destroys trust. Seeking validation shows weakness. Revealing vulnerabilities invites manipulation. Losing your temper ruins your reputation. Rudeness exposes your true character. Broadcasting your plans kills your motivation. Each of these behaviors tells the world the same thing. You can't control yourself. And if you can't control yourself, no one will trust you with anything important. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Your public behavior is entirely within your power. Master it, and you master how people see you, not through performance, but through restraint. Choose one behavior you recognize in yourself. Eliminate it this week. Watch how differently people begin to respond. If this video gave you clarity about what's been costing you respect, write below, "I control myself." And don't forget to subscribe, because here, we choose self-mastery over emotional reaction, strength over weakness, discipline over impulse. Stay stoic.